Hi, survivors. It's me, Represent reporting. You hope you guys are doing well because what's going on in this world is not. This is Times Beach, Missouri. This is an article by Wikipedia. I heard about this town from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. He was talking about that Ohio train disaster with the chemicals and whatnot. And he said this same city went through something similar back in the 80s, and the whole town now is a ghost town. People had to move from there. The businesses had to close. He's predicting that same thing that's going to happen in that area, East Palestine in Ohio and other surrounding areas. He said there's no way those people are going to be able to stay there. And a lot of people saying the same thing. Even they're saying that the residents there. But anyway, it says Times Beach is a ghost town in St. Louis County, Missouri, United States, 17 miles southwest of St. Louis and 2 miles east of Eureka. Once home to more than 2,000 people, the town was completely evacuated early in 1983 due to TCDD, also known as dioxin contamination. It was the largest civilian exposure to the compound in the history of the United States. So it also shows a map of Time Beach. They call it the ghost town. Officially, it's called a ghost town. Located in Missouri. Wow. That's crazy. Missouri have good land and property out there too. Country, United States, state, Missouri, county, St. Louis County, founded in 1925, disincorporated 1985. Only 60 years this place was in existence in regards to having residents and whatnot. In 1985, the state of Missouri officially disincorporated the city of Times Beach. The site of Times Beach now houses a 419-acre state park commemorating U.S. Route 66, the famous highway that stretched from Chicago, Illinois to St. Monica, California, and passed by the community on its southern end, as well as the history of the Times Beach era. The park opened in 1999. In 2001, the EPA removed Times Beach from its Superfund list. They don't even want to go into details in regards to what really happened there, because I really want to know the entire story of what happened here at Times Beach. But this is crazy. Yeah, so that's what he was saying on y'all go check the video out. It's called They Are Not Telling the Truth About Ohio with Off Grid. And that's another channel to always listen to, because they have a lot of good information about living off the grid and how to build things, how to grow your own vegetables. I mean, a lot of different great things organically in regards to how to feed your chickens and not buy them that mess out the store. I'm trying to see. I would really like to know. They really got it on here where there's really like, okay, here it is. Looking back at the Times Beach disaster nearly 40 years later. A town, a flood, and Superfund. Looking back at the Times Beach disaster nearly 40 years later. The striking images above show the town, but two entirely different landscapes. On the left, abandoned homes dot the gridded street plan. On the right, 19 years later, trees have begun to cover the street lanes in the empty community. This town, Times Beach, Missouri, was the site of one of the worst environmental disasters in our nation's history. Nearly 40 years ago, an individual was paid to spray material on the roads to suppress the dust in this small Midwest town. What the town didn't know was that he was spraying those roads with a mixture of highly toxic chemical compound, dioxin, and waste oil. When the town was inundated by a terrible flood in December 1982, that toxic mix spread beyond the roads and covered the town. A part of EPA's 50th anniversary commemoration, we look back on the events surrounding the Times Beach disaster over its 50-year history. EPA's enforcement and compliance work has played an integral and crucial role in protecting human health and the environment. The Times Beach tragedy was one of several like it at the time and helped spur the creation of the Superfund law, paving the way for countless cleanup and remediation actions at sites across the country. Look at this. They always doing something like, it's like, let's continue to read it. It says a UHID helicopter sprays a defoliation agent on a dense jungle area in the Mekong Delta of Vietnam. That's 1969 of spraying chemicals or whatever that is. This what I was in. Okay, we just passed that up. Sorry, you guys. It says at a facility in Verona, Missouri, the chemical company of Hoffman Taft produces 2,4,5 trichlorophenoxatic acid for the U.S. Army as part of the production of the defoliant commonly referred to as Agent Orange. In 1969, Hoffman Taft leases portion of the plant to Northeastern Pharmaceutical and Chemical Company for this production and sells the facility to Syntec companies. The production of this generates a hazardous byproduct, dioxin, which is stored at its facility in tanks. Dioxin is highly toxic and can cause cancer, reproductive and developmental problems, damage to the immune system, and hormone interference. I wonder why they even create this stuff. I mean, Jesus. Wow. It goes on to show the history of what happens when people have been exposed to this. Jesus. This is November 1982. Town of Times Beach received first news of possible dioxin contamination. I want to go back up here and read this, y'all, because I think I'm skipping out a lot. So they said all of this, right? Okay, they say early 1970 waste oil hauler Russell Bliss is hired to remove dioxin from the tanks. Bliss then mixes the dioxin with waste oil. The mixture is used for dust suppression on dirt roads and horse tracks throughout Missouri. In fact, Bliss sprays more than 25 locations with the dioxin-contaminated mixture, including the town of Times Beach. 1971, children and animals mysteriously fall ill at sites sprayed by Bliss. At one site, Shinoda Stables, over 40 horses died from the toxic mixture Bliss sprayed on the dirt surfaces in and around the arena where horses were trained and rode. Birds, cats, and dogs are also found dead near the arena when the 6-year-old daughter of the stable owner becomes terribly ill. The Missouri Department of Health and the U.S. Centers for Disease and Prevention, CDC, investigates. 1974, CDC investigation tied dioxin to the illnesses. After tracking down the source to the toxic mix of chemicals that Bliss sprayed to suppress dust, the federal government mobilizes resources to investigate the dioxin contamination and where it was sprayed and stored by Bliss. 1980, Superfund enacted. The Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, CERCLA, commonly known as Superfund, creates a fund for addressing the dangers posed by toxic waste dumps. The Love Canal tragedy, in addition to widespread concern about dioxin contamination, are key events that spurred its passage. The Superfund law authorizes two kinds of response actions: short-term removals, where actions may be taken to address releases or threaten releases requiring prompt response, and long-term remedial response actions that permanently and significantly reduce the dangers associated with releases or threats of releases of hazardous substances that are serious but not immediately life-threatening. These actions can be conducted only at sites listed on EPA's National Priority List. March 1982, EPA contained CDC records regarding dioxin contamination in Missouri. And this is the article, I guess, back then. Dioxin testing begins in Times Beach. Officials take soil samples. From here, EPA establishes dioxin sampling plans for sites across the states. In November 1982, town of Times Beach received first news of possible dioxin contamination. Man, these people just be making up stuff and they spray that stuff in the air. I mean, these chemicals, I mean, this stuff shouldn't even exist. If it's going to hurt people, like, why does it exist? December 1982, record flooding sweeps the Merrimack River. Y'all, this is history repeating itself. So all that stuff just spread it real quick, real fast. Residents of Palm Beach are forced to evacuate, fearing that the flooding has spread the dioxin. CDC and EPA recommend that the town of Palm Beach not be re-inhabited. Jesus. February 1983, EPA announces a federal buyout of the town. Oh my God. So they come in and they buy the town out. Dioxin levels in the town are found to be 300 times what the CDC considers safe. The agency also recommends the permanent relocation of the town's more than 2,000 residents. Speaking from a locked conference room in a hotel near Times Beach, EPA Administrator Ann Burford announces that EPA will buy out 800 residential properties and 30 businesses in Times Beach using Superfund dollars. Hundreds of residents gather outside to hear the announcement over the loudspeakers. This is sickening. This is sickening, y'all. This is a history of corruption. I mean, wow. That's why it's important, man. I'm done with America. These people are so evil and satanic over here. Went in there and sprayed the people town up with dioxin. Threw a weather event in there so it could spread, allegedly. A lot of people probably passed, and a lot of people everybody had to leave their homes, and they come in there and buy the town out. There you have it. Jesus. We're in trouble, y'all. This happened in the 80s, and it's 2023 now, so they have advanced technology with a lot of this stuff now. Different ways to get stuff done expeditiously, and we looking at it unfold right before our eyes. Watch this world, watch this weather. Smell your water, boil it, purify your water before you use it. Please follow me on Patreon for real, raw, uncut, unfiltered content, things I can't say on here. And if you're looking for land and bug out areas in Texas, I have some for sale and for lease on purposand.com. Please support the allegedly and the good luck with their t-shirts. All proceeds go back into the channel and keep surviving. Purposand.com. And also, if you're looking for your survivalism gear, hazmat suits, radiation suits, your gas masks for yourselves and your children, eyesight tablets for times like these, you can also find that on purposand.com. Keep surviving. Purposand.com.